Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 31 of Sovereign AF Podcast. I'm your host, Regina Cornelio, and I'm here with my beautiful
Yay.
co-host, Cynthia.
Hi, everyone.
And this is the last episode of season 2, episode 31 already. And we have a very special guest and a very special topic. Our guest, Graham. We're going to talk all about indoor beehives, and this is like next level. um I don't even know of anyone else that's doing this. We are going to learn all about beehive therapy, apitherapy, the benefits of indoor beehives, all the different benefits that bees provide. I didn't even know they were that important until I started this podcast, and now I love bees. And Graham is such an interesting guy. I'm so happy that I connected with him. He has 4 businesses. I'm going to let you kind of give a bit more of your background. Thank you so much for being here with us, Graham.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Graham.
thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited any day of the week that I get to share about the bees. It's a fun fact. I got into this because I had heard that beekeepers were the longest living profession on earth. And what I mean by that is statistically, beekeepers supposedly outlive every other profession. When I heard that, I had to investigate. So just a little bit about me, I guess, just so you guys know who I am and where I come from and what I do. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been completely unemployable for well over 10 years now. I've been in the anti-aging industry, holistic wellness, very into homeopathy, herbals, nutrition. I used to own a wellness center down here outside of Philadelphia, doing everything holistic, working with the morphogenic field of the body. I was an MFT practitioner, morphogenic field technique, advanced biostructural correctional practitioner, which I still do. And like I said, serial entrepreneur. So currently managing 4 businesses, which I would not recommend to anybody for the faint of heart unless you are ready for a roller coaster ride. It's hard enough to get one business off the ground, but what I found is once you have success in one area, it's easier to have success in other areas as well. So I love it. I love being an entrepreneur, innovating, and that's how we got here today.
Great.
Yeah. Do you want to, I just give them an idea of what your 4 businesses are, and then we'll dive into all about the bees?
Yeah, absolutely. So all 4 businesses stemmed out of the wellness industry. So the one we're going to talk about primarily today is an indoor modular beehive, as well as apitherapy sheds, something that we started in 2023 officially. I was doing it a little bit before that. So that would be business number 4, technically speaking, would be the most recent one. We also, I'm involved in an anti-aging company that works with a frequency patch, which helps you to basically enhance the copper peptides in your body. It retunes your DNA and also causes your body to basically multiply and diversify stem cells, which keeps you younger, alive longer, healthier, all those type of things. So that's business number 2. Business number 3, I'm still actively an ABC practitioner. So 2 days a week, I'm working with clients fixing their spines, musculoskeletal system, everything involving that. So very similar to chiropractic. And then business number 4, I own a company that builds tiny homes, basically office sheds. We built this one that I'm in right now. And so they're like bougie little offices. And then also that company also builds the apitherapy sheds where you can go in and lay above the beehives and manage your hives from the outside so people can get what people are starting to learn about is what's called apitherapy, which we'll dive into that and some of the health benefits. So those are the 4 main businesses. I'm also a professional athlete. I'm a beekeeper. I'm a father of an 8-month-old. And so we got a lot going on, but we're keeping it young, healthy, and energetic.
Love it.
Yeah. When I first connected to you, Graham, and I looked at your Facebook profile and I saw the picture of you and your wife, and I was like, oh, they're probably like 22. And then I read your profile. I'm like, he has 4 businesses. And that was the first thing I said was, how old are you? Like, how are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm 34 going on 20.
There you go.
Well, you look great, and so does your wife. I'm just in awe of you when I tell people about you. I'm just like, I don't know how you do it. But let's dive into the business number 4 with the bees. And so I know that you've been a beekeeper your whole life. How did you come up with like the idea for this business?
Yeah, so I actually was not a beekeeper my whole life. I was very interested in it. My grandfather was a beekeeper. When
Right.
he came back from the war, like many people, they were actually encouraged to keep bees. And I think it had something to do with producing C4 or something like that. Like there was a property that people actually legitimately needed from
Mm,
beehives. So there was a boom in beekeepers after the war, like back in the 1950s, 1960s. And so my
okay.
grandfather kept bees, and when he passed away, which would have been about, I guess that was maybe almost 15 years ago now, we found a jar of honey of his, or a couple jars that he had had for like 10 or 20 years in the basement in his like man cave. And my brother took those jars, he made a mead out of it. So we had like an old Viking mead that he made because my brother was into like
Mm,
brewing and making his own beers and things like that. So he made mead, and we drank the mead in celebration of my grandfather's life. And it was this really cool thing, right? And we found some of his old equipment. It was just really neat. So I was very fascinated. I had built a couple hives, was going to do bees, but as you might learn about me, I have a lot going on. And so I had just obstacles in the way of actually getting going beekeeping, but I always wanted to do it. So last year, I woke up early in the year. I had like, I don't know what you call it, a dream, open vision, whatever. I got this idea for this indoor hive. And I remembered from my childhood when we were coming home from school one day, the bus driver, this is like old school, this has never happened today, right? The bus driver took us to this old barn ice cream parlor where they had like a cider press, homemade ice cream. And I remember they had a beehive that was inside in the window, and it was like an observation hive, and you can watch it. And I remember thinking about that and being like, that was so cool to see that. And I didn't know anyone that was doing that. And when I started to learn about apitherapy through my wellness journey, I started to see like very popular in Europe, nobody doing it in the United States. And I was like, all right, I'm going to be the
mm,
first. Like, I'm going to jump on this and I'm going to make this famous in the United States. So I started off on my little beekeeping journey officially last spring, started getting into it, had a major
mm,
learning curve, knew I was supposed to do it because I had so much opposition. Like when I tell you, I lost every single one of my hives. They got stolen. All of my hives got stolen. I
Wow.
came into winter with like no honey, got the hives back, just chaos ensued, right? So when you
mhm.
go through that much trouble in something, like you should always look at it and be like, I'm probably supposed to be doing this. Like if it was that hard, obviously
Yeah.
something's trying to stop me from doing this like life-changing thing. So I
Mhm,
kept on, pressed on. We did Gen 1 of the Inside Beehive last year, and
mhm,
they did amazing. In fact, my indoor hive was the only hive that survived over winter and like thrived.
mm.
They did
Wow.
incredible. So I was like going through it and thinking, all right, it's super cool. I made this basic one, but we need to make something that's like sleek, looks good, is like super easy to do, and it's also modular so people can basically have an ant farm inside their house, but it's bees. And they get all the
Mhm.
benefits of the apitherapy inside their house, which costs significantly less than if someone wants to buy an apitherapy shed from us and put it in their yard, right? So
Right.
that's where everything kind of started to come together. And at the same time, like I fell in love with beekeeping as well. So not just the benefits, but if you've never experienced it before, like this morning I was out with my hives, managing them, going through marking queens, something that we do every single week when you're a beekeeper. You're doing these check-ins, especially in the spring. It's just the most relaxing,
Mm,
rewarding. Like it's hard to describe if you've never experienced it, but when you're in a bee yard or an apiary, it is just so relaxing, and your whole vibration of your body just comes up, your mood enhances, you just feel incredible. And it's like, for me, it's one of my happy places. It's where I can kind of tune out all my other businesses, everything that's going on with marketing and production and managing and all this stuff. and I can just be with my bees, and it's just a happy place. And so my goal is I want to be able to bring that to people all over the world. So not just the United States, but it's kind of a well-known fact that if the bees go, we go, right? Like if the bees
Yeah.
disappear, we're gone. Bees pollinate all of our food. They're the reason why food even exists, basically. And even though that has a lot to do with native bees as well, as honeybees play a crucial part in that. So for us to be able to bring the benefits of apitherapy, just the cool factor, like if you've never walked inside a house, and you can see the hives right here on the left of me, had the hives, seen all the bees, and experienced that thing, it's just the coolest thing in the world that even most beekeepers don't get to watch the daily ins and outs of what happens inside of a beehive. So an average everyday person can experience this while also bringing in the wellness factor, which we're going to dive into. We'll talk about all the benefits of what happens when you get around bees with apitherapy. So I just got driven to keep pressing in on this and innovating and making things that will really, like, it'll change the world if we can bring this to the masses. This is going to have a huge impact on not just who we are like as people, but where we go in history, and kind of what the next 10, 20, 30 years looks like as far as biology and agriculture and all sorts of things. So my job is to partner people, form a partnership with the honeybees, and create something that's just awesome.
Awesome. So what are the
Amazing.
benefits?
Yeah. So where do we begin with this? So I think one of the coolest things is there's a vibrational frequency that happens. Maybe I'll start with this. So for those of you that don't know, because honeybees, they're one of the most fascinating creatures in existence of the way that they work, the way they function. The whole hives function as one single unit. And for the ladies out there, you'll appreciate this. By the way, like almost the entirety of the hive is all women. All right, so it's women doing all of the things, right? Like the queen rears, and then also as these female bees are born, they start out as nurse bees. They move on to becoming foragers eventually. In between there, they're building wax, comb. They're doing all these different things. Some of them become the queen's personal attendants, where all she does is get fed and do all these things. Like there's so many fascinating aspects of how bees are born, live, work, and die, and they know exactly what to do at all times. They even know when it's time to replace the queen. But there's 1,000 facts we could talk about that it gets really nerdy and really cool, even down to the queens. Like queens are super savage, but go ahead.
Love it. I love it. I feel like before we get into the benefits, I still want to know because I know of different types of bee therapy. Like Tiffany in the chat just said that she did bee venom therapy for limes. And there's all these different, products they provide and therapies with bees. But what is, I guess you say it like how do you say it?
Apitherapy.
Apitherapy. I was saying apitherapy. Apitherapy. What exactly is that? And then let's get into the benefits.
Yeah, so apitherapy, it stems from the Latin word apis mellifica, which for those of you that are in like homeopathics, this is sovereign AF, right? So if you're thinking about how do I provide my own healthcare for my family, homeopathy is one of the major ways. And one of the major remedies is called apis mellifica. And it comes from the honeybee, okay? And it comes from the venom of the honeybee more specifically. So for example, if someone has an allergic reaction, they take apis mellifica, boom, cancels out the allergic reaction. It's a frequency thing, and the body's able to regulate and deal with that allergic reaction. So that's the basis. So when it comes to apitherapy, right now, if you go look it up, the thing that has the most buzz about it, to be punny, is bee venom therapy. So anyone that has Lyme disease, there's also benefits for, they're finding with Alzheimer's, they're finding it with people who have like rheumatoid arthritis, if you've got stiff joints, all of these different things. Bee venom creates a very similar response in the body to if you took apis mellifica, okay? And it has an anti-inflammatory response. So Lyme being an inflammatory, right? It inflames the joints, it inflames the muscles, which by the way, my wife and I both had Lyme disease. In fact, my wife was so bad, she was in a wheelchair and almost died. So when we talk about Lyme disease, very familiar with it. I've worked with tons of clients. bee venom therapy is one of the main ways that you can manage and even potentially heal, right? No claims, but potentially heal, get massive benefits from getting stung by bees. So there's, people think of it as a negative, like, oh, I don't want to get stung by bees. It's like, if that happens and you're not super allergic and you're not going to die immediately, right? Just say thank you, because it literally, like, that bee, when they sting you, they die. But that bee is actually adding to the longevity of your life when you get stung by that. It creates an incredible healing response in the body, even though it doesn't feel great right away. After a few minutes, it goes away, might itch a little bit later on. I get stung on a regular basis working outside in an apiary. I'll say, as far as the indoor hives, have never had a single bee inside the actual house. So even though these go inside the house, no bees in the house, right? When you do it right. So you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, getting stung, that's going to be the primary thing that people find when they look up apitherapy. Now, if you look up videos like sleeping above beehives, what you'll find is a bunch of Europeans created these sheds. And this is what we've been doing now and building in America, where you go in and you like pay for a session. You go in and you lay above the beehives and you breathe in the air, and you get close proximity to the frequency of the bees, which the bees hum at a very particular frequency, which happens to be a healing frequency for our bodies. So you go and you lay down, you get the most relaxed feeling, like I was talking about when I'm in the bee yard. You get that same relaxed feeling. You're breathing in highly ionized air, so it helps clean out your lungs. Different lung issues, things like that, start to resolve. Your body relaxes. So people who deal with anxiety, even PTSD. So now there's a ton of research coming out that there's a neuroplasticity effect that happens when you're laying down over the bees. So for any of you that have like studied Dr. Carolyn Leaf and you've learned about neuroplasticity of the brain can be molded, shaped, all that helps deal with anxiety, PTSD, different emotional aspects. All are improved significantly from laying above the beehives, breathing in the air, and just getting around the particular frequency and hum of the bees. So that was one of the things that we were working on building for people to be able to put in their backyard, or if therapists wanted to do this at a wellness center or on their property where they can charge people to come lay above the bees and get the apitherapy, they can do it that way. And then also, of course, bee venom therapy and all those. So that's the apitherapy aspect of it, from just being around the bees, being stung by a bee, things like that. That doesn't even include all the benefits from propolis, which are very widespread, all the benefits from honey being one of the greatest antifungals, antibacterials, anti-inflammatory. You can take raw honey that's never been heated, never filtered, any of that. And if you get a burn, you get a cut, wound, it's infected, you lather it with honey. You can do amazing healing things in the body with honey, as well as what it does internally for us because of the bees' enzymes, all those things. So there is a very wide scope of benefits from everything honeybees.
Wow. Quick story. A friend of mine the other day, his dog, he always jokes that his puppy has autism because she's so hyper and crazy and doesn't always listen. And she got stung by a bee. And he's like, oh, maybe that'll help her autism, because he knows about bee venom therapy. So, okay. With your modular beehives, I'm assuming that people can get that frequency healing from the modular beehives, right?
Yes. So my first hive I put in my daughter's room. She had been dealing with anxiety. She had some PTSD issues. And also she had suicidal tendencies. She had a lot of really dark stuff that was going on in her life. So my initial thought was, she needs it the most. Let's put it in her room. And this is stage one, right? So she had it in her room the entire year, pretty close to her bed. So when she's going to bed at night, like the hum of the bees there, she became a very different person over the course of the year. Like a lot of those things she was dealing with subsided and went away over the course of the year. So there's a lot of long reaching effects just from being in vicinity. So if you're within 7, 8, 9, 10 feet, you can hear the buzz of the hive. Even if you're a little ways across the room, you can hear the noise of the hum. And it creates, I have people tell me, they're like, I like to work in the room where the bees are, and my productivity goes up, my creativity increases, I'm just more relaxed. And it starts to open up, a greater ability for them to be able to function in a relaxed way because like, let's face it, like we're probably in one of the most stressful times outside of like an intense wartime that we've been. Like people have to make more money than they've ever had to make. Food is the most expensive ever been. Housing is the most expensive it's ever been. Like you have to make significantly more money. So people are very stressed out. So to be able to bring something inside that not only are you partnering with nature to be able to help, heal the planet, you're also healing yourself and creating an environment that's good for you, good for the bees, and creates a healing thing. It's a symbiotic relationship.
So cool. And it makes sense, the whole creativity thing that you said, because if it's opening your neural pathways in your brain, then you're naturally going to be more creative to begin with, which is
exactly. Yeah, it has some effects with neurotransmitters and so there's even effects on DNA with this, where some of the latest research shows that being around the bees actually lengthens your telomeres. So whenever you hear people talk about telomeres and how they shorten as you get older, basically it's like the telomeres are on the ends of your DNA. So they're now showing that just being around the bees actually lengthens your telomeres. So there's some really fascinating research that's coming out, and hopefully as our community grows and we start to blow up the indoor beekeeping community, it's going to draw attention to more benefits of bees, which then is going to draw farther research. And we're going to start learning things that we never knew, about what this can actually do, which will then it'll come full circle of like, oh, that's why statistically beekeepers were one of the longest living professions. Here's why. And then be able to use that.
Awesome. I feel like I have so many questions. I just want to remind you guys, if you're watching on Facebook, feel free to drop your questions in the chat. Yeah, she said she likes the wall behind me. This is literally my wall. It's metal. It's a barn dominium. Okay, gosh, where to start? So these modular beehives that you have, how big are they? Or do you sell them in different sizes or?
Yeah, so this is we'll dive into this. So this is the main model here. So I'll hold this up, you guys can see. All right. So fairly large. It's almost 19, 20 inches across from side to side. So the beam that you see there, there's 4 entrances, so you guys can see the holes. Okay. With the little selector tabs. Okay. So what happens is, and I'll set this back here. What happens, and the way we made this is, and I just love this. Like this gets, you're about to get me into my nerdy zone here, okay?
Yes,
so
yes.
One of the problems with beekeeping is that it's difficult to make enough money beekeeping to be able to do it full time unless you're like full big time scale agriculture. So what we're doing is we're creating a solution, not just for people to get well, something that literally anybody that knows nothing about bees can order one of these. And then what we're doing is we're partnering with beekeepers to be able to come in and manage the bees, provide the bees, extract honey, do all these things that beekeepers do and have the equipment for. If the person doesn't want to do any of that, then we're bringing in the person and connecting them with the local groups and that type of thing for them to be able to have a beekeeper. So you don't have to worry about any of that. You can just enjoy the bees on the wall. But what it is they're modular. So they're built literally like a honeycomb in the hive, which if you look at this, my office, so like the sound panels on my wall are hexagons. You can't see it, but my ceiling lights are hexagons. Like the hexagon is one of the coolest structures, and I won't go into that. But they're built like a honeycomb. And what happens is they're able to basically come together and you can add on over time. So for those of you that don't know about honeybees, like in the first year of a honeybee colony, they're basically establishing themselves. You don't really get a lot of honey from it. You might get a little bit, but they're really like kind of just building up and ramping up power, right? Like they're like a steam engine that's starting to go. Year 2, you are in like full honey production mode and you've got to add room and all that type of thing. It can happen in year 1, but typically it's going to be year 2. It kind of depends on how early you start in the season. So what these are made to do is somebody could start with 1. They could use that for the first year, and that's adequate space for their colony to like get established. By year 2, you have to add more. Otherwise, what happens, and this isn't a bad thing, and there's going to be certainly indoor beekeepers that they just choose to do this. They could just have the one. And what will happen is because the bees don't have enough room to expand, the way that bees reproduce and grow is they swarm. So right now, you guys will see on Facebook, tons of people posting about swarms, and it's all over. Like everybody's talking about it because May is like swarm season. What happens is the queen makes a bunch, or actually the bees technically make like 7 new queen cells maybe, and they're going to grow a new queen by feeding them just exclusively royal jelly. And then when that new queen is ready to hatch, the old queen takes maybe half of the hive, maybe a little bit more, half the colony. They go out, they swarm on a branch, they look for a new home, and they start the process all over again. So some people may just say, hey, I just love having the, the apitherapy benefits. I love having all these things. And I'm fine to just have the bees be reproducing every year and swarming. And that can just go on and you could never touch it. And it'll just continue on the cycle. And you'll be reproducing bees every single year, probably multiple times a year, depending on the colony and the temperament and the characteristics, because bees all have different characteristics. And all the different strains kind of perform differently. Some produce more honey. Some have really good hygiene. Others they have just all sorts of different, characteristics that bees have based on their genetics and where you live in the world, right?
Mm.
So the modular hive, you can add them on if you do want to produce honey. And we're bringing in all sorts of fun things. So basically, beekeepers will be able to grow up their colonies in outdoor hives with special frames that actually insert right into this. So all they do is slide their frames in. So if someone needs bees, there's beekeepers that already have them established in the frames, and they just insert right into there, and you literally have a colony that's ready to go. They don't have to build out wax, which takes a lot of resources and things like that to build the honeycomb. It's just ready to go. So beekeepers are able to earn more money by providing services as we grow and expand and create new beekeepers. Our company is an affiliate-based company. So what that means is when you become an affiliate with us, you get your own link to our website, which has everything on there from the modular hives to the beekeeping equipment to merchandise and memorabilia and literally everything in between from now until as we continue to innovate and do things, which we're not ever going to stop doing that, right? We're always going to work to make things better. So what's going to happen is anytime someone goes to your link and they purchase, you're able to earn money. So as a beekeeper, especially, beekeepers can go, they can start telling people about this, doing video and all sorts of stuff. Anytime someone's purchasing from them, they're getting a commission. And it doesn't matter if it's a hive, a mug, a t-shirt. They're also able to sell the person bees. So now we're actually creating solutions for beekeepers to also increase their revenues while providing a service to people that don't necessarily want to manage the bees. Now, if you're someone like me who's like, no, I want to manage the bees, like I want to be all on in this, I want to be a beekeeper, and I want to be like a pioneer in the indoor beekeeping, section of the world, which this is just totally revolutionary. Like nobody's really ever done this before, by the way. So this is all pioneering right now. We're a pioneering community. So if you want to go all in on it, then on the website, we sell bee suits, we sell hive tools, we sell everything that you need to get going and get established. And also, we also sell, we have an online community where you can come on and we're going to teach you everything you need to know about beekeeping, like all the ins and outs, everything from top to bottom, how to do everything, how to manage bees, everything you need to know. It's all in there in a classroom online in the same community, and it operates a little bit like Facebook. So imagine like an exclusive Facebook, but it's better than Facebook because Facebook and Google don't have access to it. Like it's private. So we can say whatever we want on there and be able to share and talk any way we want to. There's no, what do they call it? Like shadow banning, filtering, censoring. There's none of that. Right. Unless you're just being a fool and then like we have to ban you from the site because you're breaking the community rules. Right. But it's an internal thing, not an external thing. So we have a full community page where you have community support and then also a classroom where we teach you everything from A to Z. as well as providing videos and stuff. Like if you're someone who's like, I could make a side hustle out of this. Well, guess what? We actually pay really well to be able to do that. And if you're like, I'm going to go get myself a hive, start this thing, share it with everybody I know. Every person that comes over your house is going to be like, that's so cool. How can I do that? How can I get involved?
Yeah.
And what happens is you can earn a really good commission. And the way we've structured it is as you make sales basically and earn commissions at a certain amount, your commission doubles. And then now you really unlock the potential to be able to earn. So we're rewarding people who are actively engaged in the community, involved, and they're joining us in the mission of partnering people with the honeybees to make a huge difference in the world. So that's like the basic structure of how we're doing it. I don't think anything like this has ever been done. So not only are we pioneering like the indoor beekeeping, but we're pioneering the whole thing. Like we're literally forming a tribe of people that want to revolutionize and pioneer the entire beekeeping industry. So yeah, that's the
Amazing.
basis.
So amazing. So there was one question. Hang on one sec. I got to scroll back. Okay, Ellen said, I live in a mountainous forest area where there is already a man about a mile away with at least 2 to 3 hives. Would there be enough bees in the area to allow me to have a hive as well?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you a secret that's really fun. Okay, so in the world of bees, if he does not manage his bees every week and they swarm on him, right? Let's just say a swarm of his bees get away. We actually sell swarm lure, so you can put the lure in your hive. You can set the whole thing up, and if his swarm gets loose and they're nearby, and those scouts come and they smell this, you can actually get some free bees, and they'll move right in. So, fun facts about bees. To make a pound of honey, it takes about 2 million blooms. So, like 2 million flowers, basically, have to be visited, and the nectar gathered, mixed with the enzymes in the bee's stomach, and then they turn that into a solution that still has a high moisture content. They got to get that in the cells, get the moisture content down to under 18%. Then they cap it with wax, and you have honey, right? And that's where honey comes from. So a hive of like 2 to 3 hives, that's honestly, it's not that much. That might seem like a lot, but there are like gajillions of flowers. And if you're in a mountainous region, that's perfect because you're actually going to get more mountain, like you're going to get wildflowers, things like that. And species that are doing better because they're not surrounded by conventional agriculture. Conventional agriculture is one of the biggest enemies, as well as like the suburban lawn of like, let's spray Roundup, kill all the kill all the weeds, which by the way are not weeds. They're bee food and they're medicine for humans. Okay.
Right.
I can't even believe that I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I can't believe that Roundup is not illegal in our country yet. Like, how is Roundup and glyphosate not illegal? It's killing people. Like, this crap should be banned, period, like it is in many European countries. Should not even exist. The fact that it still exists, just mind-boggling to me. So we're gonna tackle that one too. And their legions of attorneys and everything else. So
Awesome.
if you're in a mountainous region, you're actually probably better off. And trust me, there is plenty of rooms for hundreds of hives, right? Like if you want to take these and put one in every window of your house, you could do that. All right. If you have an HOA and you live in a suburb, I wouldn't recommend that. You're probably going to get an eviction notice, and they're probably going to tell you that your property is not fit for human living. And you're going to get in trouble like that Florida man did down in Orlando, who had bees in his backyard, and they tried to evict him and say, like, your property is no longer habitable. And they tried to kick him out. And legally in the state of Florida, you can keep bees in your backyard. He wasn't doing anything wrong, by the way.
It's always the Florida man. Poor Florida.
Yeah, right? It is, right? Florida man gets removed from home because of honeybees. So that's so true. But mountainous region, you're probably actually better off. And you might get lucky if you don't want to buy bees, or you don't want to go out and capture a swarm right away. You probably could lure a swarm in if it's early enough in the year. Bees will swarm all the way into June. After that, they don't swarm. And if they do swarm, the swarms don't survive. They just don't have enough time to build up resources before we go into what's called a dearth, which is it's a period of maybe a month or two typically. And it's kind of like end of June into July, August. there's basically nothing that's in bloom. And so there's not really anything for the bees to go out and gather. So all they're doing is they're eating up their honey stores. They're kind of just waiting for the fall blooms where they'll go out and gather from different trees or different bushes or things like goldenrod, that type of thing. That blooms later in the year, flowers that bloom later in the year, that type of stuff. So that's why during the dearth, we have to supplemental feed, keep give them a 1-to-1 ratio of sugar water and all the things that we provide. So no doubt somebody is going to have the question, and I'll answer this ahead of time, because if someone doesn't ask it live, they'll ask it later. They're like, okay, the bees are in the house. How do they get out of the house? Right? Like everybody wonders that. So what we've done is we've made a 180-degree view window unit that comes when you purchase the first one. It's included in that bundle. It goes in your window, seals off, no bees can get in. But what it is it's a viewing box where you get to basically, you run a hose from your unit, whether it's attached to the wall, on a shelf, or you put it on a bookshelf, on a table, however you're putting yours. There's a little tube that runs to this unit that's on the window, just like you put an AC unit in, basically. This inserts, window comes down, locks, so no burglars or anybody can get in. I don't think anybody's going to try that with a window full of honeybees anyways.
Yeah.
Burglars tend to be scared of that kind of thing. So it's kind of like its own added security, but we make it super secure. And it's a viewing box, so you can actually see the bees come, land with their pollen, do some of their waggle dance, all that type of stuff, fend off intruders, and they go in to the house through the little tube into their little bee house from there. So that's how that works. That's way one. Way two is people actually just drill a hole straight through their house, run the tube to the outside, and then they just go directly in and out. But you don't get to see like all the amazing things that happen at the entrance, which you can literally sit there and stare at it for hours. Like, it is fascinating. These bees, when they're loaded down with pollen, they're coming in like a B-52 airplane, like struggling to fly, and then they land, and it's hilarious to, really fascinating to watch.
This is amazing. So obviously I'm assuming that you help with installation and luring in the bees, I guess.
Yeah, so we teach you how to do all that. The units are made so literally like you pop the window unit in, put it down, it's sealed off. You put the tube from that to the window, and then you just make sure your vents are open and it's not open so that the bees go in and out, right? So it takes just like, if you have a fraction of common sense, don't worry, you qualify, you can do this, right? Like, if you do it right, no problem, no bees in your house, right? Like, it's not that easy to open the ports. Like, we kind of put them on there a little tight intentionally. But anyone with a fraction of common sense can do this. It's very simple. Anybody can manage it. And you can do it where basically the front, if you look at the front glass, that just unscrews with a Phillips screwdriver. It pops off. You can put a swarm of bees in there, like wherever the queen goes, the rest of the bees go. So like, for example, best time of year to get bees for this is when they're swarming in the beginning, because you can literally go capture a swarm, pop them in here, close it, and they will start building out comb and they'll be doing their thing, right? As long as the queen is in there and the bees get in there, you're good to go. Pop the hose in there, pop it to the outside. Very simple. So we teach you how to do the whole installation. Because what happens is people are ordering these all across the United States. I'm one guy. I own 4 businesses, do all these other things. I can't come to your house and help you install this. But what I can do is I have a video that shows you exactly how to do it. And then people get to choose. Like, it's a really exciting thing when you set this up and you're like, all right, we're going to do like the full process. We're going to capture a swarm with our new hive, right? And just imagine when a swarm comes in, it sounds like a freight train is entering your house. Like, it's a loud sound. It's not quiet. You have thousands of bees, sometimes 10, 20, 30,000 bees, all buzzing, making a loud noise, and they're coming in and landing and going inside following the queen, right? So imagine that you're home one day and all of a sudden you're waiting for this thing, and boom, a swarm comes in. Imagine what that feels like. It's the most exciting thing in the world. You're like, oh my gosh, bees just moved into our house. This is so cool. So that's one of the ways that you can do it. You can also have a beekeeper just literally, they can deliver a nuke to you, and they can, install that right into this. So there's multiple ways to be able to do that. And it gives people autonomy, which is autonomy is, we're talking sovereign man here. Autonomy is
Mhm.
really important to be able to take it, do it on your own, get the
Mhm.
benefits from it, and make it simple so that way anybody can do this and install it. That's really important to us. Like it has to be simple. If it's not simple, people don't do it and it doesn't qualify. So we made it so that everything is literally simple, even down to like when you need to supplement the bees. We made it so that way in the entrance part and the viewing, you literally can open it up, pour in your sugar water, close it. The bees can't get in and out while you're doing this. And now you're able to just literally give them essential nutrients for them to be able to keep going through periods when they don't have enough. Everything is made so simple that anybody can do it.
Love it. I have a
Amazing.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, what is your theory on bees as far as are they flying or are there sound frequencies how they get around? Because,
Bees are levitating.
yep.
Okay. I know,
Mm.
and people are like, honeybees fly, they have wings. Okay. They might use their wings, but there's no physiological way that, like, for example, a bumblebee physiologically cannot fly. Like it does not apply to the laws of physics as we know it. It technically could
Wow.
not fly. And also, so they put trackers on honeybees, okay?
Mm.
And there could be a 40 to 50-mile crosswind. We're talking like you're approaching like some heavy wind shears, like, you're getting up into like some tornado class stuff. And those bees can literally go on a beeline straight to an area of flowers and straight back, no deviation, like scientifically proven. They're not swaying or going in the wind. They are just boom, they're there on a straight line, not getting blown off course. There's no physical way that they could do that. Like, I don't know if you've ever been in an airplane and all of a sudden you hit like a wind gust and shear and stuff. Like,
Right.
there's no way that they stay on an exact straight line and do that, get loaded up with pollen and nectar, and then come on a straight line back at a high speed against, sideways winds and all these things and come back and land perfectly and be able to do it, right? There's just no way that that could happen if they're really flying. So my personal opinion, and it is just opinion, but I think it's scientifically backed. I think that they're actually being able to vibrate and levitate. Like there's something that actually hums and vibrates inside the bee that they're kind of they're flying and working more on the magnetic field of the earth, or the Earth's torus field, much like a UFO, is claimed to do. I think that it's much more like that versus actually flying.
That's really cool.
Mhm.
So we did get a question. I don't want to miss it. Hold on. Where was it? Oh my goodness. Sorry, guys. I'm
I
so
have it.
engulfed in the
It's
conversation. I don't want to interrupt. So Kristen said, how do the bees do in a desert? Like if someone lives in a city that's in a desert, like Nevada, Vegas, or something like that, how would the bees do?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have, I actually have a hive going out to Arizona this week to a
Okay.
lady out there who's getting 3 of them. So out in
Wow.
Arizona, your bee strains, like the types of bees you have, they're still honeybees, but they're different than the ones up here in Pennsylvania. So you have
Right.
strains that are actually adapted to desert life, and there are plenty of beekeepers that are out in the desert heat. Now, one of
Mm.
the advantages you have is that because your hives are indoors, and you have a more regulated air temperature, it's actually easier for the bees to regulate the temperature inside the hive when it's indoors versus when it's outside in 110-degree weather, in humidity or dry heat or all these other things, all the other variables. When they're inside, it's actually easier to regulate. And I don't know if you can see, like the walls on these are pretty thick. And then there's small little vents so that the air can come in and out as needed. And the cool thing about honeybees is they will actually take their little wax and propolis, and they'll actually glue any air surface that they don't want open. They'll actually glue it
wow.
shut, and they will regulate their own air temperature within the space that they're given. So they can actually thrive indoors even better in the desert. Go out. You have plenty of flowers. So as long as there's nectar, wildflowers, all these things that are in bloom and which exist in the desert, and also especially like in suburban areas in the desert, all these things. There's plenty of people who are keeping bees out there. And so what you want to do is when you get your hive, you want to connect to the local beekeepers. find some strains that are doing well out there, and you're going to install those bees versus bees that come from my side of the country.
Awesome.
Yeah, and actually Jason said, join your local bee club. That's what we did. The people are itching to impart their knowledge and help you get set up with hives and catch swarms. We love bees. So I guess there's bee clubs.
Yes, there is almost literally everywhere. You can find bee Facebook groups and all that. And then if
Yeah.
you're someone who's like, hey, I want to pay for my groceries, how can I do that with this? Well, guess what? When you purchase this and you become an affiliate, go share that with your bee club. Okay. Get all them,
Mhm.
every
There you
single one of
go.
them that purchases from you,
There you
you get a
go.
handsome commission from. So now you can go make money from your bee club.
Sweet.
And you'll find like a lot of people in bee clubs are super helpful. And then you get this crowd of people that like know it all. And they're like, you can't do that. Like, that's not, like, you can't keep bees indoors. Like, how are they going to be able to overwinter and da 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 da? And they're going to consume all their honey and da 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 da. And so you get to be like, yeah, thanks for your opinion. I really appreciate that. You know, I'm pioneering something. So hope you change your mind. So you usually get really good people that they're very eager to help. But I will tell you guys, the vast majority of them have never done anything like this. So if you go and join a bee club and you're like, I'm an indoor beekeeper, they're gonna be like, what? And then guess what? You're the point man. You are spearheading. You're the pioneer now in that beekeeping club. As we get off the ground and you go and bring this to whatever area of the country you're in, until it becomes just, it's like technological acceptance, right? Like in the beginning, the refrigerator, people were like, what's that? We don't know what that is. Now everybody has a refrigerator in their house, right? We don't know where the technological acceptance curve of indoor bees. Like, some people are just never going to do this. They're like, nope, don't want them. Don't get me near them. Don't want to be near bees. And then there's going to be a lot of people that are like, that is so cool. I want to do that. Am I capable of it? And then you're going to get a lot of people that are like, that's so cool. Where can I get one? It's that easy, that simple.
Mhm.
Take my money. So you're gonna get a mixture. But yeah, bee clubs usually really good people in there. They're not going to be familiar with this typically. People who will love this, by the way, for those of you that want to take this and run with it and like go get sales or go do your thing, beekeepers that do farmers markets, my favorite people to work with, because what you can do with this is you just close it up, like you pop the hose out, close the ports up, seal the hose off. And what you can do is you can take this to your local farmers market. You can take this to school. You can take it anywhere you want. And you can actually educate people and teach them about bees. Now, at a farmer's market, that's really valuable for someone selling honey, because it's an attraction thing. And one of the things I teach is attraction marketing. And so if you can draw people to your booth, you sell more honey, right? So there's a lot of applications for something like this, because it's modular, easy to use. You just pop it out, take it with you, and now you can go educate and draw people into whatever you're doing.
Yeah. Little mini therapy sessions.
So cool.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you're out there pollinating.
Right. Incredible.
So Graham, you sell the modular units, but then you also sell sheds with, like, if people wanted to build it into a therapy and, like, have the community come and charge fees for, is that so separate?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we build full size, like really bougie sheds out of really nice wood that lasts over 30 plus years, just from the guarantee of all the materials we use. And you can put, in fact, I have one. I wish I could show you the picture right now. It's beautiful. We have one customer that has 20 hives in their benches, all on one side of the building. And they're all made so you literally can pull them out like a kitchen cupboard. Like it just pulls out like a drawer. You manage your bees, put it back in, and each one of those can produce anywhere from 50 to 100 pounds of honey. So not only do you get all the apitherapy benefits, but you get a massive honey crop every year. You can split hives. You can sell nukes. There's multiple ways to be able to produce an income from that. You can put these on the inside of it as well, so people can like see the bees in one hive, and then they're experiencing the bees underneath them while they're laying down over top of them as well. So obviously that costs a lot more money to do, but people are right now charging good money to do it. I have a client in New Jersey. If you ever want to take a trip and go to New Jersey, they have hives. In fact, that's the one that I was telling you that, where they've got room for 20 hives in this unit. You can actually go pay to go spend a day. I think they have an Airbnb there too. and you can go and do apitherapy in their shop. They've got
So
alpaca, so
cool.
they're selling yarn every. So she made it her farm shop on one side, so they sell all their farm products, and then on the other side is the bee bench where you go and you lay down above it.
So
Wow. A
cool.
bee
Oh my
bench. I love
gosh.
it.
Yeah, I love this. Wow. Love
Super
it.
cool.
Um, all right. Well, I know we kind of started a few minutes late because we had some technical difficulties. I think I want to honor your time, and we're pretty much at the hour mark. And so maybe we'll wrap up the recording, hang out for just a few minutes on Facebook, guys. If anyone has any last minute questions, pop them in the chat. Um,
Ellen
but
said, can a hive outgrow the box?
Yes, so a hive can run out of room, and what they'll do is they'll swarm. The queen will take about half. They'll make a brand new queen who will hatch, emerge, go do her mating flight, come back, and you'll be starting over with about half the colony size you had. And then they'll just do that all over again. They'll grow until all of a sudden they feel like they're out of room, and then they'll reproduce and swarm again. And so there's people that they'll start with one of these hives in one window. They'll swarm, it'll go nearby, they'll catch the swarm, and they'll start another colony in another window and just keep adding on. So you can do it that way, or you can just add these modular boxes on and make it so they have more room and you get a big honey crop and all that type of thing. You can do it
So
either way.
if you add the boxes on, I'm guessing, so you would add it on and then link them, and then they would naturally just swarm to the next box. Is that what they would do?
They won't swarm. It'll be the same colony,
Same
and
colony.
they'll start to grow and build comb in the next one. And so what'll happen is you have the nursery where they're basically you have bees being born in the one box. The queen is doing all her laying there, and then in the other boxes it's all honey production. And so what it's made to do is that when you're ready to harvest honey, you can just again disconnect it, close the ports, take it outside, open it up, extract all your honey, your wax, your honeycomb, all natural. We teach you how to extract it so you're not heating it. You keep all the enzymes, bacteria, everything, like all the good stuff that's in there, which, by the way, short note on that, most of the honey that people are consuming has been heated. It's been like pasteurized. And then they put it in either a plastic jar. If they do keep it in a glass jar, a lot of people will use a silver spoon. Silver kills the bacteria, and if there's beneficial bacteria still in there, so you don't want to do that. That's why you want one of those little wooden honey, little honey scooper things. So you want to use that to get your honey out. Phenomenal, and not just tea. I use honey, like raw, unfiltered honey, in my coffee every single day. Like that is my thing. Heavy cream, like grass fed, really good natural heavy cream, and raw unfiltered honey in coffee every day. So just a short notice on that, like keep the silver spoons away from the honey. Make sure that it's totally unpasteurized, never heated, and extracted. There's not a lot of people that do that. And we're actually right now, recently I got a download for how to do that, where we can make it so that way we're extracting it, no heating process, anything like that. And anybody can do that. Very simple to get their own honey, wax for candles. Like back in the day, wax was used for a whole lot of things, including C4, which is why it became really popular during wartime. But for people that are making soaps, or you're making products at home, you want to make your own candles, tons of different things. You can get your own wax from that, get your own honey out of your own box from your own house. It's just super cool.
Yep. When
Awesome.
a couple years ago, I was in France, and the raw honey from there, we were there for a wedding, and the person that was there, they bee kept, and so they gave us a whole bunch of raw honey, and we like snuck so many jars over. I was like, don't catch my honey on the plane, right? It was so good. I savored that honey. It's the best.
Super good.
So Miriam wants to know, and I was just about to ask you, how do people contact you, and how much is the initial investment?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, the best way is by email. By the end of the week, we'll have the link. Like I already have the link, but there's a few things that I want to set up on the community before everybody starts flooding in. We already have like 50, 60 people on there. But the best way to contact me is you want to email Graham at insidebees.com. So GRAHAM at insidebees.com. And we'll post that down below this video, wherever it's posted. Yep. So that way you can email me. Say, hey, I saw the video. How can I purchase? How can I become an affiliate? Can I get involved in the community? And then we can get you set up from there. There's a small membership fee in the community. So where all the education and the community support, all that stuff is to be a part of that. It's like a small monthly fee to join that. The initial hive is $4.99. That includes the hive and the window box, everything. So still way less than a flow hive that you're gonna get for like $700, $800, $900 for like one of those outdoor flow hives, which has its own issues. Like, by the way, like I love flow hives. I think it's a super cool concept. But when you crack open something and the honey is not totally, like the moisture content's not totally out of there, potentially, you're potentially creating some issues, which is kind of a challenge. Super cool concept though, right?
What is a flow hive? Will you explain?
So if you've never seen the flow hives, super cool. It's a hive that goes outside. Literally all you do is you go out, there's a little spout, you turn a key and honey comes out. And you never have to open up the hive if you don't want to, right? You don't have to manage it or anything. So super cool concept, but last time I checked, they were selling for like $800. So really, really pricey. Like they've got patents and everything on it. You can't reproduce it. The ones that try to, it fails miserably, doesn't work. Like they did a really cool thing. It's just kind of pricey and maybe a little questionable on like the honey that you're getting. You don't know because it literally just splits the frame like this and then honey comes out. So like, there's some factors there, but really cool concept. So you get the initial hive for $4.99. That includes like the window unit, all the seals, all the hardware for mounting, the tubes, like literally everything that you need except for the bees. Everything is included in that. And then what we do is most people will do a 3-pack. So they'll purchase 3 at a time, which we do for $1,000. So as you purchase more units at once, it significantly goes down in price.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's definitely cheaper than I thought. I was like, man, these things got to be so expensive. That makes it affordable for most people.
Absolutely. And when you look at like the possibility of what you can do from the one hive, adding on other units, and the fact that like right now, like I just went to the farmer's market and bought honey from this person up in Ithaca, New York, which is an amazing. If you ever go to Cayuga Lake in Ithaca, New York, go to the Ithaca's farmers market on a Saturday. It is the coolest farmers market in the world. They had like 3 different beekeepers there. I got all their info and I'm going to get them all on this because it's just, it's perfect for them. But they were selling a small jar of honey for $15. Okay. So it's a small jar of like whipped natural honey. And they were doing that for $15, which by the way, we'll teach you how to do all that stuff if you want to sell honey. So you can get your investment back out of this multiple ways. Like we've made multiple ways for you to be able to make money and get the money back. And like you were saying, like it's not the highest cost in the world to be able to get involved in something, pioneering it, where we're doing it. The hives are really nice. Like you can see how beautiful these came out. It's a great deal. And we give you the ability to be able to earn money like perpetually for years to come. Every time a customer goes back and buys something else from you, you earn a commission on it. And the more that happens, the more commission you earn. So it's a really great structure. It's just cool. Like we have a whole community developing with shirts and hats and a cool logo. And the whole thing, like you get to be a part of a movement that the world has never seen before. It's just pioneering. So
what's the name of your company?
It's called Inside Bees.
Okay.
Yep. So the website will be insidebees.com. And the community, it's a school community. So if you're not familiar with school, developed by Sam Ovens, Alex Hermosi's promoting it really big time right now. I've been involved in school for like 2-3 years now. I have multiple other communities for my other businesses on school. And it's just awesome. Like you have searchability, you have community, you have classrooms. So we have all the videos on there, all the links, calendars, events, like all these things. We're going to do, I want to do like a yearly meetup. So where like we'll do like an indoor beekeepers conference where everybody comes, we hang out at a nice hotel or a resort up in the mountains that has bees and beekeeping stuff. And we just have fun and create a community around this whole concept.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right. So you gave your website, you gave your email. That's how people can reach you. Thank you so much for being here, Graham. I want to honor your time and wrap up, and we'll hang out for just a couple minutes. If there's a couple last minute questions, and I got to scroll the chat, we may have missed one. But anything else that you want to leave us with as we wrap up?
No, it's just this whole topic really excites me, not just from like the personal benefits that I've had in my own life. Like it's one of the things that keeps me young. It's one of the ways that I keep this mug looking young for, for a long time. You know, my goal is to be one of those 70-year-olds that looks like they're like 40. You know, like that's the goal, right? And this is one of the things that's helping to do that, extend life, and be able to do that for other people, and just to be able to innovate, be involved in the space. This wasn't something I like planned on or expected. It wasn't like 10 years back I was like, I'm gonna be a beekeeper and I'm gonna invent this thing that's gonna, you know, create a multi-million-dollar company and just blow up and be super fun. And here we are doing it, and it's the most fun. Like for me, of all the companies and everything that I do on a weekly basis and everything that I manage, being able to enjoy the bees and be able to enjoy the apiary and the apitherapy effects is just so much fun, and it's so rewarding. And it's one of the things that, like, you know, again, the concept of the sovereign man. If an EMP were to go off tomorrow, by the way, okay, could happen, right? Not an unrealistic thing. The government's not coming to save you. All right, they're not coming to help you. Just so you know, if you don't believe me, like go read the book 1 second after, and that whole sequel. Like you will learn really quick what happens when the power goes out. Okay, and one of the things is that commodities are really important, and one of the items that will be exchanged is going to be wax and honey. So if you, as an autonomous person and as a sovereign person, already have the jump on being able to create honey, multiply honeybees, have wax, all these things, you have a tradable resource and commodity for if the power ever goes out, you have tremendous value in a post-powered world as people work to get the power back on and society breaks loose and all these kind of things that could realistically, like, it could potentially happen. So we need to be thinking about those. So creating things that have value in currency, really, really important, something to think about. And I believe we're helping people to do that in the space of commodities.
And when and if the dollar crashes and collapses,
By the way, it's not if, it's when.
Exactly.
It's when. No currency in the history of human civilization has lasted more than 120 years. Like no fiat currency. Obviously, gold and silver has, but no fiat currency. The US dollar is a fiat currency. Nothing has lasted more than 120 years. And we're already past that mark now. Like we're past. So especially when you look at the government, like they're already telling us like, hey, by the way, we're creating a cryptocurrency that we're going to switch everybody over to.
Yep.
It's coming, right? So, get your gold, get your silver, and
get your bees.
Focus. Get your bees, get your coffee beans. By the way, like the top two, like hottest commodities, if the power goes out or if that happens, 22 bullets and coffee. Like really, really important things that people, like everybody is so addicted to coffee that if they can't get coffee and they don't have coffee stores, like really, really important. So we got other companies we're working on solving all these problems. So stay tuned if you want to get involved. There's a lot going on.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Anything you want to say, Sin, before we wrap up?
That's it. Thank you so much for being here. This was incredible information. Super excited. You're doing wonderful things.
Yeah, Facebook Hangout just for a minute. We may hang out. If you have a last minute questions, pop them in the chat. Thank you guys so much for an amazing season. Please follow us, like, and subscribe on YouTube, Rumble. Find us on Instagram, Sovereign AF Podcast. We'll be back end of summer, early fall. We'll have a few pop-ups in the summer and surprises, so we'll still be around. Join the Facebook group where we can dive deeper into these topics, and definitely catch up on all the past episodes. Thank you guys for your support. Love you guys. See you next season.